Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and start with our study session. And on the agenda is Craig McFarland from Pinnell Partnership. So, Larry, is there anything else you want to say to introduce? Okay, there you go. It's all yours, Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, thanks for the opportunity tonight to address the council. We've been working on this presentation for about a year. It's titled Energizing Pinal County. So my name is Craig McFarland, President and CEO of Pinal Partnership, and it's my pleasure to introduce this topic to you all. I know the topic is not new to anybody, but we've been working on this for a little while, try and make sure that we get information and data out to as many folks as possible. So tonight, Arizona's energy demand is growing, and it's growing at an unprecedented rate. Energy projects bring in substantial long-term economic benefits to Pinal County's communities and workforce, and meeting Arizona's energy challenge requires close partnership between utilities, developers, local government, and our community. Arizona's economy is expanding rapidly, especially in high-tech sectors like the semiconductor manufacturing, the data centers, the advanced manufacturing. This growth is creating a significant increase in electricity demand across the state. Utilities, particularly APS and SRP, are signaling that they need much more power to support current and future economic development. Without new generation, Arizona risks falling behind companies in competing regions like Texas. New industrial users require far more energy than traditional commercial development. As an example, the Taiwan Semiconductor manufacturers alone requires 1,200 megawatts of power. And if other companies of that scale tried to locate in Pinal County today, there wouldn't be enough power for them to do so. A major challenge is timing also with these projects, with these energy projects. Many power projects of all types, solar, gas, storage, and transmission, are stalled or delayed. The projects can't get built quickly. Arizona may miss out on the next opportunity for economic development. Meanwhile, the cost of materials and construction continue to rise, adding pressure to the development of new energy sources. And if with that, it also raises the cost to our consumers, to our residents. So tonight, the agenda that I'd like to cover, and really it's about energy, it's about where we're at today, it's about where we need to go tomorrow or in the next 10 years, and how do we get there, and what are the options for us to get there. So we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with regard to this topic. So to set the stage, I want to begin with Arizona's overall energy demand picture. We are in a period of unprecedented growth, driven not only by population and electrification, but also by rapid expansion of high-tech industries like semiconductor manufacturing and data centers. In August of 2025, APS and SRP both set new peak demand records in Arizona. Arizona's utilities, APS and SRP, have made it clear that current and planned resources are not enough to meet the accelerating demand curve. This is why the timing of new projects is becoming such a critical factor. If we don't get the new capacity, the new energy capacity online quickly, Arizona risks missing out on the modern and more major economic opportunities. Okay, skip this slide. There we go. So some key takeaways here. This is APS forecast, and they're forecasting unprecedented annual peak demands growth that translates to more than 3,400 megawatts of new capacity needed, with 1,200 megawatts required in the near term. Pinal County had the most meter sets for APS outside of the Metro Phoenix area in 2025 in their history. This demonstrates how Pinal County, along with contributing significantly to the growth as users continue to line up for grid connection. SRP tells a similar story, but at an even bigger scale. They estimate that they will need double or even triple the power system over the next decade. Like APS, SRP continues to see exceptional load growth in the Pinal County. In fact, it's around 12% annually. It's coming from residential, commercial, and industrial users. Much of the growth isn't even tied to future hypothetical growth. This is real business and industry that they have today. They have it in the queue. So they're not guessing at what they're going to need. They already need it. So SRP has already announced converting their coal plants up in the northwest of Arizona to natural gas and expanding their pumped hydro operations. However, significant new generation is still needed along with those. So this visual reinforces the point that Arizona must rely on a true all of the above resource mix to make load reliable. Solar will carry the big share during daylight hours, especially with the state's high solar potential. Battery storage and pumped hydro then take on the critical role of shifting that energy into the evening hours. Flexible natural gas resources remain essential in meeting that peak demand and providing fast ramping reliability, especially as renewable penetration grows. And while much of this resource flexibility comes from solar and storage and gas, the base load resources remain critical for the system to remain stable. Nuclear plays that role today. Palo Verde is still the backbone of Arizona's clean baseload supply, providing 24/7 carbon-free power that supports reliability during extreme temperatures and peak periods of the day. This APS chart is from their 2023 Integrated Resource Plan and shows that regardless of the load growth scenario, the zero growth on the left side of the slide and the high growth rate on the right side of the slide. And it shows significant new capacity additions across every category, even in the lowest growth case for Arizona. It needs thousands of megawatts of new resource by 2038. Longer-term utilities and exploring next-generation nuclear is important, but those technologies won't be available at scale until well into the 2030s, 2040s. That means that Arizona must build aggressively with resources available today while planning for future base load solutions. The bottom line is we need every available resource built quickly to meet demand and avoid falling behind. Now that we've looked and outlined the scale of the demand growth, I want to shift into Arizona's grid and how it actually works. Because understanding the grid helps explain why projects end up where they do and why timing is so critical. Arizona is a regulated energy market with interconnected utilities, SRP, APS, Tucson Electric Power, ED2, ED3, just to name a few. They each operate differently in different portions of the system, but power flows across the state as one large connected network. Utilities buy and sell power. They buy and sell power to each other. and they rely heavily on private developers to build new generation because they can't finance all the needed generation on their own. This interconnected structure means that what gets built and where affects every part of Arizona's grid and economic future. It's one of the reasons Pinal County has become such a focal point for development of energy. So these two images give you a simplified view of how the grid is organized, from generation and transmission to distribution. The slide on the left shows the grid in its simplest form. The U.S. and the power grid are complex networks of power plants and transmission lines with extra high voltage connections between utilities. This expansive infrastructure allows the movement of electricity from one part of the network to another. Over time, the U.S. power grid has evolved into 3 large interconnected systems. You can see that on the right. There's the western interconnection, and there's the eastern, and then leave it to Texas, they have their own. On the generation side, utilities depend on a mix of resources: solar, battery, natural gas, other technologies. Utility-scale power plants connect the grid through high-voltage transmission lines and substations that are owned and operated by the utilities. Developers often build these resources as close as possible to existing substations and transmission lines to reduce the cost and impact on the environment and the community. All of this is why developers cluster around certain parts of Pinal County. They are building where the grid already exists and where utilities have planned infrastructure that they can connect to. This interconnection and interconnectedness of the U.S. grid allows for geographic and resources diversity, which is essential for manufacturing reliable services under a wide range of conditions. For example, SRP relies on diverse power generation and a portfolio spread across 5 different states. And APS is like most utilities and follows a similar model. This is more than you wanted to know on power, but it's important. It's important stuff. So let's look at Pinal County. This is the county as it's laid out, and this is a simplified map that demonstrates the crucial distribution between service territories and transmission ownership in Arizona. Arizona operates a fully regulated electricity market, which means the customers can only be served by a utility that has the legal authority to operate in that area. So for developers, this structure shapes what's possible. The projects can only sell power to the utility it can physically connect to. As an example, if you see a situation where a project is physically located inside APS's territory, which we have here in Pinal County, yet the connection is to SRP transmission lines, that means they're selling to SRP. The map shows here, it's simplified, but depicts only one transmission owner, but in reality, transmission infrastructure can be owned by multiple utilities, often overlapping in complex ways. This distinction is critical in setting decisions and interconnection strategies, and ultimately determining where a utility project can serve. And understanding the service territory versus transmission ownership helps explain why projects cluster in certain areas. This is an example. This has ED2, ED3, APS, SRP. Those are all their service territories. So it's quite convoluted. So as discussed in the last slide, Arizona's energy market is fully regulated, which means any customer connected to the grid must be served by an Arizona utility, so APS, SRP, TEP, ED2, ED3, for example. Because utilities can't finance or build every new generation project themselves, they run what's called an RFP, which you all know what that means. And it's a competitive solicitation process where developers propose projects for utilities to purchase power from. So that's an outside agency that's basically creating power and then selling it back to the grid. As we discussed the previous slides, utilities don't only buy power from developers or build their own projects, they also buy and sell power on the grid to each other every day, or through long-term contracts to manage their grid reliability and costs for their customers. Now that we've covered the demand and the broader Arizona market, I want to shift to what this means specifically for Pinal County. The region is uniquely positioned to support and benefit from the growth utilities need. With land availability, existing infrastructure, and strong economic growth opportunities like Lucid Manufacturing and like LG, these facilities are new and our new copper mining operations. In the next few slides, I'll walk you through the type of projects that are most valuable to Pinal County, because some of them don't work here in Pinal County. First of all, solar. Solar has some of the highest solar potential, or Pinal County has some of the highest solar potential in the country. Pinal County sits right in the heart of Arizona. That means more production, better economics, and faster build times. Solar helps meet the summer heat peaks while providing low-cost, clean energy. It offers a productive interim use of land with relatively easy decommissioning. Batteries. Projects can be deployed quickly and provide on-demand power within seconds, which improves grid stability and reliability. Batteries are essential for shifting the solar energy from the evening evening hours and measuring modern reliability and standards, meeting them. Natural gas remains critical and reliable, especially as the renewable energy penetration grows. Current gas capacity is limited, but new pipeline expansions are coming by 2029 with support, and they will support additional flexibility in the gas units, including hydrogen capability turbines. Together, these technologies represent the highest priority opportunities for the county. The projects utilize and are needed urgently. This is the pipeline. This is the Trans-Western Pipeline that's being built as we speak. It's 500 miles of new pipe, 9 compressor stations, and a bidirectional Phoenix lateral, all of which will open up for new opportunities for gas-fired generation, especially here in Pinal County, since the main line will actually end in Pinal County. There's some other power opportunities. There's hydro, there's wind, nuclear, coal, but all of these are not real feasible for Pinal County. Not that nuclear couldn't be at some point in time, but the small package nuclear plants are very small. They're like 30 megawatts each, and some of the new data centers require 300 megawatts. So you can imagine how many small nuclear plants you'd have to stack to make it 300. So it's not real feasible, and they're still 10 years away in development. I know APS and SRP are working together to potentially site a new Palo Verde type plant. In fact, Palo Verde can be expanded and has the opportunity to add 2 more nuclear packages on their facility, and it is one of the sites that they're considering. So utilities are not just building new generation. They also are investing heavily in programs that reduce demand and improve energy efficiency. They include smart device incentives, virtual power plant initiatives, demand response programs, residential renewables, and energy efficiency programs like Energy Star and home energy checkups. Collectively, these programs help avoid the need for additional new resources, reducing the strain on the system and lowering costs for customers. But even with strong participation in these programs, the scale of growth in Arizona still requires substantial new infrastructure, which reinforces the importance of development in Pinal County. Now that we've talked about the demand and the types of projects, I want to shift a little bit into the benefits of energy development, both for the county and for our communities. Utilities are looking for power generation opportunities statewide, not just in Pinal County. And these projects bring significant economic benefits to the communities that host them. The next slides break down these benefits in a little more detail. So community funding and benefits. New projects bring in community benefits, funding, sponsorships, and donations that support schools, first responders, and local organizations. For example, SRP now requires $1,500 per megawatt that they put out in community benefit for new projects that they're building. Meaning that even a mid-sized project brings substantial funding back to the community. From income tax, energy projects also generate millions of dollars in property taxes over their lifetimes. A single 100 megawatt solar project that started operation in Pinal County in 2020 has already paid several millions of dollars in taxes. The vacant land that was previously generating less than $100,000 in property taxes per year. As another example, there's a $512 million battery project over 20 years in property taxes will pay out $13.4 million in property taxes. So it's pretty significant what these projects will generate. For landowners, these projects provide stable long-term lease income. They're diversifying revenue and putting land to productive use without giving it up permanently. As an example, another 100-watt solar and battery project creates roughly 250 construction jobs, plus long-term, highly paid technical operators. Just as importantly, these projects support the broader construction ecosystem in Pinal County. Contractors, electricians, equipment operators, concrete suppliers, trucking companies, material yards, and especially trades to see increased demand. So the ripple effect keeps crews employed and helps expand the county's construction capacity over time. Beyond direct hiring, every one of these projects ripples through the local economy, in restaurants, in transportation services, in equipment suppliers, and more. These projects bring immediate economic stimulation during construction and help support sustained growth once operational. In short, every project provides a mix of tax revenue, community benefit, jobs creation, landowners' income, and making energy development one of the strongest economic drivers available to Pinal County today. Low-cost energy is one of the most important factors companies look at when they are looking to relocate, especially large industrial users. The more projects that can get built, then the more companies and competitive Arizona becomes. The more projects, meaning greater competition in utility costs, which helps then drive down those costs for electricity over time. Lower energy costs, in turn, attract more large employers, hiring jobs, investments, and broader economic growth. Everything we've talked about today, the demand growth, the resources, the needs and opportunities in Pinal County, ultimately come down to one thing. We can only meet the challenges by working together. Utilities, developers, and local governments all play a role, and we recognize that this isn't just about building projects. It's about building them in a way that works for the county, for the community, and for the long-term economic development. The goal here isn't to rush or pressure. It's to make sure that we align and we're supporting each other so Arizona and Pinal County especially can capture the opportunities headed our way. Before we talk about what comes next, I want to pause and acknowledge the real challenges that come with energy development in Pinal County. We know siting isn't simple. Projects must locate near existing transmissions, which has created concentrations of activity in certain areas like Coolidge and Eloy. We know there's a community concern about safety, particularly when it comes to batteries, and also some concerns about natural gas. And we know that misunderstanding and conflicting information can make this even harder, especially around taxes, land use, and economic benefit. Really, our goal is to be a partner in this process and help decision makers make good decisions. In response to many of the challenges we just discussed, responsible developers are working hard to adapt best practices. That minimizes impacts and strengthens collaboration. That starts with siting, choosing locations that reduce community impacts, avoid sensitive areas, and align with long-term infrastructure plans. Just as importantly, early, transparent community engagement, listening to landowners, neighbors, educators, first responders, and local organizations before plans are finalized. Finally, responsible development also includes coordination with national and state partners to ensure safety, especially around batteries. And as we wrap this session up, I want to bring us back to why this matters. Arizona needs more power. That's the bottom line. Jobs and economic development won't wait for future technologies or for long-term resource planning to get caught up. Arizona utilities have been clear. They need Pinal County to continue approving projects as they come forward. Gas capacity is coming, but not until 2029 at the earliest, and new nuclear is post-2040. In the near term, solar and batteries are only resources that can be developed quickly enough. And that's in order to meet the demand and head off the shortages. We recognize the challenges, we recognize the concerns, we also recognize the opportunity for Pinal County to stay competitive, reliable, and open for new employers. Our commitment is to work together collaboratively, transparently, and constructively to build the right projects in the right places in a way that works for the county and its communities. So that's my presentation,
Right.
and it's 30 minutes.
Thank you, Craig.
So it didn't leave time for questions, but does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? Any questions?
I just have one
Sure.
quick one. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Craig, when SRP was notified about that they're going to bring in new nuclear by 2040, is that in Pinal County or is that just expanding Palo
There's,
Verde?
it could be anywhere in Arizona. It's
Could
not,
be
they've formed the line, not the line siting, but the siting committee.
Uh-huh.
So they're convening to look at locations.
Okay.
I know that, I know Palo Verde has room for expansion, and I know it's one of the sites that are on their list. I don't know where the other sites are, though.
Okay.
I do know there's a gas power plant that's coming to Pinal County. It's a big one. It's like 300 megawatt. And they're just in the process of permitting right now. So they're going through the county to get that. It'll be somewhere down to the west of Picacho Peak.
Okay. Thank you.
So it won't be in your backyard.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
That one sheet that I gave you does have some interesting survey information on it. It was done by High Ground, so it was done for the county, and I thought I would share it because I think it speaks pretty loudly in terms of where the consumer or where our constituents are with that. I mean, unfortunately, you hear a lot of loud noise from a small group, and I think that the majority actually are in favor of some of these projects. So.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn and maybe five minutes. So it's 7:02, 7:07, so we can get the people out there inside. So, thank you. 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to be so loud. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Badillan. So if you please stand if you're willing and able, and the invocation will be presented by Saeed Taha from the American Muslim Family Center. Thank you, Mr. Taha.
Good evening. I have the privilege of and honor to lead the prayers tonight. Let me take a minute to introduce myself first. I am Saeed Taha with American Muslim Family Center here in Eloy. There are about 20 million Muslims in the United States, about 2 billion Muslims, which is 25% of world population. We are the closest to Christianity in faith and sincerity. Believing in Jesus is an article of faith, and every Muslim is not a Muslim unless we believe in Jesus. There is a chapter named after Mary, mother of Jesus, and she's the only woman mentioned by name in the Quran. I will start my prayer in Arabic, which is very close to what Jesus spoke in Aramaic. I had the privilege of visiting where Jesus was born and where he ascended to heaven, and also where Aramaic is spoken in Damascus, Syria, very close to Damascus, Syria. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, maliki yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and merciful, praise be God, Lord of the worlds, the most gracious and the most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship, and upon you we call for help. Guide us to the straight path and the path of those you have blessed, not the path against whom you have angered, nor of those who are misguided. Almighty God, we thank you for the privilege of gathering here to serve our community. Grant us wisdom in our decisions, compassion in our discussion, and integrity in our actions. May we seek the common good above personal interests. May our work today bring peace, justice, and prosperity to all who call this city of Casa Grande home. As we come together in service of our community, let our work be guided by wisdom, compassion, and a shared commitment to the well-being of the city. We are grateful to the opportunity to serve the people of this city. Bless our council and all the council members, and especially our mayor, with clarity of thought, courage to do what is right, and humility to learn from one another. Remind us that every voice matters, every person counts, and every decision shapes the future of this great city. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Brent. Okay, next item on the agenda are the minutes. Oh, sorry about that. Almost forgot roll call. Adriana, if you can please accept for the record that all of the council are present.
So noted.
Thank you very much. Next are minutes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move to accept the minutes of the City Council study session of March 16, 2026, the minutes of the council regular meeting of March 16, 2026, the minutes of the Board of Adjustment for February 10th, 26, and the minutes of the Community Service Advisory Board for January 22nd, 2026 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to pass the minutes. Next are the claims.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve the list of claims from March 11, 2026 to March 31st, 2026.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to pass the claims. And we have the meeting agenda approval. Are there any changes to the agenda, Larry?
Madam Mayor, no specific changes, but we do have 2 executive sessions this evening.
Okay, so we'll pull reports up. Okay.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we move the reports ahead of the executive session in tonight's meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a special presentation this evening, very special. I'll go ahead and step down, but if I can call up Douglas Damon, if he can come forward. So, we have a special retirement here. We're recognizing and honoring Douglas Damon, who is retiring from the city's Public Works Department, Sanitation Division, after 37 years of service. Douglas began his career with the city way back in April of 1989 as an equipment operator in the sanitation division. In 1996, he was promoted to heavy equipment operator. Douglas has been a solid, dependable, consistent driver on our residential side load sanitation collection routes, and clearly over his 37 years has seen our community change with the number of homes added and the resulting solid waste collection routes, especially when you consider our 1990 census count was just 19,000 people. Changed quite a bit, huh? Okay. So Douglas, on behalf of my fellow council members and all the staff, the city of Casa Grande, and the citizens of our city, whom you have served over the past 37 years, congratulations on your retirement, and all the best to you and your family.
It's been a pleasure, and I enjoyed working for you all, watching the city grow, and the mayor, city council, all through the years, they kept the city afloat. Through COVID, through the construction crisis or whatever it was, even today, so I appreciate it. Thank you. On there. Thank you.
Okay. 37 years. Larry, you have a few more to go. Right? Okay. Next is our consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. So is there any item that anyone from the council would like to remove from the consent agenda?
No.
Okay, how about Larry, staff, or anyone from the public? Okay, so we'll go ahead if we can get a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Adriana, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem B. Dillon?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are public comments. I just wanted to remind everyone that the City Council values citizen input. When called, please state your name and address, speak clearly into the microphone, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. In fairness to all speakers, please do not exceed your time. In accordance with the law, the City Council cannot respond to or discuss items not listed on the agenda, but may direct them to staff upon conclusion of all public comments. So I do have a few public comment cards. Some people have item number L2, so we will save those for the public hearing. So if I call your name and if you want to speak on item L2 on the agenda, we can just put you on that public hearing if that's okay with you. So I'll go ahead and read the comment card or the speaker cards that I have here. So first I have Jacob Petrowski. Hi there, Jacob.
Hi, Mayor. I prepared a speech for you guys. I got 3 minutes. But I think I'm just going to summarize what I want to tell you guys. I don't think that you guys are going to change your mind about the flock safety program, and I'm okay with that. I'm just asking that you guys do something about auditing it. Hire a third party, maybe put it behind a warrant like other public, other records requests like phone data. Do something. My own research shows that 70% of those searches that are made currently today have no reason, no record. They're just blank. Okay? So I'm just asking that you guys consider doing something to say, hey, we'll put this behind a warrant, or let's do something to third-party audit this data to make sure that what the police say that they're doing is actually happening. Accountability is a good thing, right? So anyway, that's it. Keep it short.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, next speaker card is Michael Hanrell. Did I say it right, Michael? I'm sorry if I didn't. Okay.
I guess I gotta say my
Yes, address, please.
address and stuff. Okay, 2552 North Millie Place. I'm Michael Hanrian. I've been living in Casa Grande and working as an educator for about 10 years, and I'm actually here talking similarly about the flock cameras as Jacob has just talked about. I'd like to express my appreciation first to the police department and their important work they do. I fully support providing enforcement with the law enforcement with resources they need to keep the community safe. For example, our local police have shared that the flock camera systems help them apprehend a murder in Tucson by tracking license plate vehicles or vehicle license plates, and those led to the implementation of flock in our city. However, and I know that the police have said that there's policies in place that ensure those tools are used ethically. However, despite these assurances, I have some concerns about the flock platform and the organization behind it. The system effectively works as a workaround to putting a GPS tracker on your vehicle without the need of a warrant. And I'd like to highlight, well, I probably won't get to three things, but let me start at the top here. Let's start about the question of the security of the system. While Flock states that only authorized personnel can access the cameras, I've personally observed behavior that raises concerns about potential vulnerabilities. In particular, I know of a number of devices that I can directly interact with my phone. Flock claims there's no vulnerabilities in that it has never been hacked. It doesn't need to get hacked if it's wide open already. The system is clearly not as secure as it's claimed. Second, there's concerns about the data storage, where it goes to. It specifically says in their terms and conditions that it goes to the Amazon cloud, which has been breached as of 2019 at least 13 times from major organizations, or major organizations have been breached through that platform. Also, access is said to be limited to the customer for 30 days, and then it becomes unavailable. What does that mean? Well, in their terms and conditions, which has just been updated as of February 2026, this year, just in February, Flock has perpetual, irrevocable worldwide license to the data gathered by Flock cameras. Perpetual meaning forever, and irrevocable meaning they can't withdraw it. So those images and that information are now Flock's intellectual property, and that way Flock can claim they do not sell their customer data. The license to that data may end for us in 30 days, but for them, they have that data forever. I got 5 seconds, so I'm going to be back.
Thank you. Okay, I have Ken Dyer. Did I say it right? Oh, there you are, Ken.
My name is Ken Dyer, and I live in Palm Creek. And I don't know if I'm on the right.
Yeah, you might. Or do you want to speak on that item?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that because you didn't note it here. So we'll go ahead and wait and put you on with the public hearing if that's okay.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, Barbara Sundust.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Sundust, and my address is 1273 East Cordova Avenue, Casa Grande. I know the city is making some movements to help a few people to get into a position of self-sufficiency, and I think that's great. And so we're making steps to help some of the marginalized people, not necessarily unhoused. My plea is for affordable housing, for shelter for elderly, especially women, and a plan to help homeless people who were literally kicked out of the city by the city ordinance without any place and any plan except for them to get moved out. My plea is for the city of Casa Grande and the people of Casa Grande to recognize these less fortunate residents. They deserve our help. I realize that this is a money issue and it needs to be dealt with like in budget planning apparently. But so that makes me come back to the $1,680,000 budgeted for the pickleball courts and fixing the clubhouse, and nothing budgeted for the homeless. And I guess nobody spoke up for that somehow to get put into a budget of some kind. I know there's a revenue money that you get from the pickleball courts, and there won't be any if you help the homeless because they'll just be housed. My main purpose, and I only have a minute, so I got to talk fast. My main purpose tonight, though, is to find some kind of 24/7 cooling station. I mean, I looked up Phoenix, and they have a cooling station that's within the city limits that's 24/7 because they realize that extreme heat is a public health emergency. And so we already got a hint of what the summer might be like. Now things have cooled down and it's a calmer. So now is the time for us as a community to plan for some kind of either extended hours past like 5 o'clock when places close, or especially should be a 24/7 cooling center. They have one in Phoenix. They have a library that has extended hours. This is the city making that happen. So, and I think maybe in our case, because there are a lot of churches that really want to help and be involved, that maybe some way the city and the churches could work together to come up with a place that would give people, I mean, imagine somebody living in their car and it's 110 outside or 100 at night. I mean, there should be a place for them to go. So my plea really is for us to work together, city and churches, and find a place for 24/7.
Oh, wow, Barbara. Good, thank you. Okay, Kim Skelton. Hi there, Kim.
Hi, Kim Skelton, 657 West Racine Loop. I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself to the council, the city, the surrounding cities, and Gila River. I am the new incoming commandant of the Marine Corps League here in Casa Grande. I have lived here in Casa Grande for approximately 10 years, served active duty 10 and a half years in the Marine Corps. Since I've been here in Casa Grande during that 10 years, I have worked for the Casa Grande High School District at both schools. I've worked for the state of Arizona, and I'm currently employed for Gila River. I just wanted to say that our Marine Corps League detachment is the county sponsor for Pinal County Toys for Tots. So the membership is basically open to anyone 18 years of age or older. We would love to have people volunteer to help us. If you know of any needs for veterans in the community that we can assist with, please let us know. We can be reached at email address cgmcl901@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak? I do have speaker cards for the public hearing on item L2, but is there anyone else that we may have missed? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comments, and we are on item I1. That's Kevin.
Thank you. Staff recommends that the mayor and city council approve a contract with BNF Contracting, and this is for the construction of intersection improvements on Florence Boulevard at both Peart intersection and Arizola intersection in an amount not to exceed $1,805,925. The city did publish a request for qualification solicitation for this project, and we received quite a few submittals. But after reviewing those, we determined that BNF Contracting was the most qualified firm to provide the services for this project. So at the intersection of Peart and Florence, you won't see a lot of physical improvements, but you'll see a lot of signal technology improvements. So we'll be working on the aging wiring, a lot of the components, new cabinet, and whatever else we find once we get into that project. But that will help that intersection become much more efficient. And you will see improvements at the Arizola intersection. That'll be the addition of additional left turn lanes and all the associated improvements with the ADA ramps, curb, gutter, drainage, and any other restoration work in that intersection that's needed, along with the traffic signal infrastructure improvements. If this project is approved, it'll begin in April, and we anticipate a little over 4 months to complete the project. Obviously, we'll be reaching out to the public with as much communication as we can to minimize the disruptions during the project. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kevin. Questions? I just have a question. You said April, so that's as in now?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We don't need a second reading for this because it was part of the projects that were all improved, so just one under resolution.
Okay. And the reason I asked, Kevin, I know this is, we're just approving the construction manager, the contract, but, there's a lot of stress on Florence Boulevard right now. And so I'm just curious, I know you said, the Peart and Florence signal, it's just a signal improvement, so that shouldn't cause any narrowing of lanes or anything on the street? Is that correct?
That's correct. We shouldn't have to do any lane closures there. If they are, they would be temporary.
Okay.
But there shouldn't be that big an impact at that intersection.
Okay, and then Arizola and Florence?
That's going to have an impact. We tried to target over the summer months to impact the schools as little as possible, but to find a perfect time would be impossible. So this was the best opportunity for us.
Right. And I think by that, hopefully in the next month or so, there's a couple projects going on Florence Boulevard that should be done. I would imagine with Sun Life, and then MetroNet will be hopefully done
Hopefully
soon.
MetroNet will be cleared out of there, and then Sun Life is coming to conclusion, but not as quick as we'd like it to.
Right, okay. Just make sure you take that into consideration as we move forward, please. So, any other questions, comments? Go ahead.
Just to $20,000 city contingency, you comfortable with that?
Yes, we're very comfortable with that.
Okay. And then thank you for giving us the timeline and duration. Can we actually get a schedule? There was one in the packet, but it just lists durations for each of the activities, not sequential.
The times,
And
yeah.
it was just the one intersection. So
Yeah,
can we get that
we
schedule?
can put a Gantt chart together for that, and if it would be appropriate, we can put it in our monthly report of our projects, and you'll see that on there.
Okay.
How would that be?
That's fine. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, Adriana, if we can get a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5902, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting the proposal from BNF Contracting, Inc. to provide construction manager at risk services for the intersection improvements project, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing the execution of a contract.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I would move for approval of resolution number 5902 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Adriana, if we can get a roll call vote. Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem B. Dillon?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Okay, item I2. Is that you, Dan, or?
Dan and I are going to kind of tag team this
Got
one.
it. Okay.
Honorable members of the council, this item before you tonight is for the approval of a contract to purchase permitting software from GovWorld Technologies. This contract will allow for the implementation and subscription of a cloud-based permitting, licensing, inspection, and code enforcement software platform. The contract has a not-to-exceed amount of $231,515.84 for the implementation and year one of the contract, and $135,638.30 annually for years 2 and 3, plus applicable renewals thereafter. Previously, the city had contracted with Tyler Technologies for the implementation of their enterprise permitting and licensing software. The implementation for that was managed by Jamie Barr, the Finance Business Integration Manager. Jamie is here with us tonight if there's any questions that Dan and I need her assistance that you might have in answering. As the process was underway, it became apparent not only to finance, but other departments involved in this implementation, which included planning and development, public works, fire, that the software was not going to serve the needs of the city, the citizens, developers, and it could complicate some of the processes instead of streamlining and improving the efficiencies that we were looking for. Finance and Planning and Development met with City Manager Raines and Stephen Weaver, your Deputy City Manager, and presented the information as to why we felt that software would not meet the needs of the city. And it was determined we would terminate the contract with Tyler. Business Integration coordinated multiple demos, in-depth demos, with various software entities to determine a new vendor. And Dan's going to talk about the new vendor and what it's going to bring.
Hello, good evening. We're real excited about the vendor that we've chosen, which is GovWell. They do have other contracts in Arizona and across the country. We did select GovWell because it is a modern unified platform that will improve efficiency, transparency, and customer service. By consolidating the functions that it performs with, including building permits and inspections, planning and zoning applications, code enforcement, fire inspections, and public works permits. This will also provide an online platform that will dramatically improve access for residents, contractors, and businesses, which will enhance tracking, reporting, and oversight, reduce manual processes, and increase staff efficiency. This investment will support Casa Grande's continued growth while improving the city's overall service to the public. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Any questions?
Sure, one question. How long did you say the contract was for? I mean, is it an ongoing contract or year to year, or is it locked in?
5 years.
The initial contract, the initial contract is for 3 years, and then I think there's 2 one-year extensions on the end of that.
And 2 one-year extensions. Okay, thank you.
So if I'm building a building or something and I have my permit going, I can check online to see where it is in the process. And then also, is there a public component you said too, so people can see what's going on around their house, or is that a different?
There'll be, the first question, yes. If you're a contractor or if you're building your own home, you can see your inspection results. The inspectors will have, iPads out in the field. Same for code enforcement. If there's an inspection of a code compliance case, then people can see what the result of that is or whether it's been continued or closed. With providing information to the public, I don't have the exact details for that. We are looking at options. There is some pretty good reporting that if it doesn't provide an interface for the public, then there's some reporting out of that we can provide.
Because that kind of goes to my next question, is going to be ADA compliance for the public, because I know that's
Yes.
a big thing for our website and all of our computers now, so.
That was vetted today, and we received official notification or documentation from the company that they are going to be ADA compliant.
All right. And did we get our money back from Tyler?
We have worked to streamline the contract, but for the past years, no.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, if we can get an ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 3501, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Carasoft Technology Corporation for the purchase of GovWell permitting software, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing execution of contracts with or purchase orders to Carasoft Technology Corporation and GovWell Technologies, Inc.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of ordinance number 3501 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Adriana, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Dillon?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item L1. James.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So item L1 is an amendment to the Villago Village Planned Area Development Zone District, known as Villago Village Core. The property is located at the southwest corner of McCartney and Pinnell. Currently, the Planned Area Development Zone is approximately 27 acres entitled for commercial and multifamily development. You can see the overlay of the existing P80 there. About 16 acres is currently entitled for commercial development, and about 11 acres is entitled for multifamily development. The request in front of you this evening is to make an amendment to the P80 to expand the multifamily area for about 4 acres and reduce the commercial area. The primary driver for this, and I'll walk you through this on some slides, is if you notice on the existing P80 to the left, there's commercial frontage along McCartney, which currently dead ends. Now, it is planned to continue on through at some point, but it has commercial frontage from Pinnell all the way west to the edge of the P80. Whereas along Pinnell, from McCartney to the south, there's a window of multifamily that jets out to Pinnell just south of the furthest commercial pad site, which is a car wash. So the request would essentially swap places with where that multifamily touches the right-of-way. There would be commercial entitlement along Pinnell all the way to the southern boundary, whereas there would be multifamily entitlement with a window to McCartney. Now, the only slight exception is the 1.61 acre area that is along Pinnell that is proposed to go from multifamily to commercial, would like to retain its option to continue to be developed as multifamily if that area doesn't ultimately sell as a pad site. If it doesn't sell as a commercial pad site, what would happen is that would just continue to be part of the multifamily area to the west. It wouldn't have any access to Pinnell. It would be developed as just as part of the larger multifamily site. It would only be as a commercial pad site where it would be developed with a access point to Pinal, just like the other commercial pad sites exist along that state route. This graphic kind of gives you a better visual of why it would make sense to entitle that area for commercial purposes. It would be just a continuation of a long string of retail and restaurant businesses along Pinal. The other changes that are proposed with this PAD amendment is to formally show the future right-of-way for Tally Ho Lane, which is north-south road that parallels Pinal. It exists as public right-of-way further south and further north in areas that are within Pinal County's jurisdiction, and so this would be a way to extend right-of-way opportunity for overall circulation in the area. When reviewing amendments to planned area developments, this is the criteria that gets evaluated. And in the staff report to Planning Commission, it dives into each of these in greater detail. But I just want to focus on some of these that are the most relevant. With regard to relationship of the plan to surrounding uses, there is a mixture of different development types around this area. You have the Villago PAD, Catty Corner, which is a mixture of commercial and single-family residential. And then you have the McCartney Ranch PAD on the other side of Pinal, which is currently entitled for a mixture of multifamily, commercial, and single-family residential. And then immediately to the west was part of the Villago Village PAD, but it's technically kind of an adjunct to it. It's known as the Copper Canyon Planned Area Development now, which is a manufactured home park PAD. And then, of course, to the south, you see Colonial del Sol, which is a county, what I call a peninsula of sorts. And so there is a mixture of uses. And so the changes being proposed, staff feels are fairly minor in that it's just the opportunity to provide an additional pad site for commercial along Pinal while giving the opportunity for the multifamily area to have a front door along McCartney. With regard to the conformance to the city's general plan, this area sits within the commerce and business land use designation. It is adjacent to neighborhoods to the west of it, but also community corridor on the other side of Pinal. And in the immediately to the south, which is county, is also in the city's commerce and business land use designation. And the proposed commercial and multifamily uses are compliant with that general plan category. The other criteria that gets evaluated is the impact of the plan on existing and anticipated traffic. There was a master level traffic report provided by Y2K Engineering, and it has been reviewed by our city traffic consultant. And as I mentioned on a previous slide, where there's involvement with ADOT, since Pinal is a state route, would be if the site to the south of the car wash is to develop as commercial, it would have to work with ADOT for its ingress and egress. Because this area was always envisioned to be multifamily, it does not have shared access with the existing commercial businesses to its north. So the applicant is aware that should this develop commercially, they would have to continue to work with ADOT and potentially the adjacent property to the south, which is in the county, for its own access. The idea is for the site to the south to relocate its driveway access and share it with this potential pad site. So it would probably, their access would probably be moved north a little bit, so the center of the driveway would be down the mutually shared property line. Regarding the notification process, it did meet all of the requirements which is stipulated by code. Prior to Planning Commission, there were a couple of correspondence that the staff received. The primary one was from a resident of Colonial Del Sol concerned about the impact of development that is to continue to occur within Valago Village, specifically with regard to the congestion at the Palm Pinell intersection, seeking an extension or an improvement of Tally-Ho Lane to be associated within the Valago Village as quickly as possible. Right now, what is the anticipation is that once the property goes for development, they would have to dedicate right-of-way for Tally-Ho and do improvements alongside that right-of-way. And there's also a proposed amendment to the McCartney Ranch P80 on the other side of Pinell. So a lot of development activity being proposed, and ultimately with the various projects, there will be right-of-way improvements to that general area. So hopefully there is a way to reduce congestion at that intersection with not only this proposed development, but others in the vicinity. At its March 5th public hearing, Planning Commission forwarded to City Council recommendation to approve this amendment, subject to the following condition of record, which is our standard condition that we place on a lot of zone changes, that is with regard to right-of-way dedication. It's that the city can ask for right-of-way dedication ahead of when it's ordinarily required, which would be at the time of building permit, should the city be doing a project where the right-of-way is needed earlier. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, James. Any questions, comments?
I just got a quick question. I just want to confirm that the multifamily and the commercial fall within the general plan regardless of how it's situated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my big thing, so.
Sure, Matt.
I've got a question is concerning increasing the area of multifamily, because I thought we were not zoning any more new multifamily. So how is this recommended for approval? You know, I do like the extension of Tally-Ho Lane. That's going to be great for that area, but how do we rectify that? Because my understanding, our policy has been to not do that anymore.
We're sensitive to that concern, most definitely. The perspective I have on it, Councilmember Herman, is that we're talking about approximately 4 acres from an 11-acre site to a 15-acre site. The development standards being proposed for that multifamily area would result in a density not as intense as what could be considered given the Commerce and Business General Plan designation. It allows some versatility to be either a medium density development like a build to rent or a traditional walk-up style apartment. However, I think what's driving it is a 15-acre site is probably more palatable for multifamily developers than an 11-acre. And yes, it is an expansion, but it's by 4 acres within an existing zoning area that already allows that as an entitlement, and it potentially takes away the visibility of multifamily from the primary travel corridor.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, if I might,
Sure.
to kind of build on that, but also clarify something.
It's not our policy.
Correct. There's been no vote on it. There's been no policy. I think
I
staff
misspoke.
I think staff has heard the concerns that have been raised, but there's
Right.
been no official policy adopted by the Council
I'm sorry.
of Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Brett. Yes, I misspoke there, but I appreciate your explanation of that, and it kind of sounds like it will be similar in density. I mean, they could have more dense on the smaller one, but this will spread it out a little, so that helps me a lot, and I appreciate your thought on that, James, so thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. So this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on this, you can come up at this point. If you can give your name and address, please.
Thank you, Mayor Fitzgibbons. Good evening. My name is Andrew Yancey. I'm an attorney at Bergen Frank Smalley and Oberholzer. For your record, that's at 4343 East Camelback Road in Phoenix. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, Community Southwest, for this project that James just described so well. I appreciate the questions. I've got a PowerPoint presentation, but frankly, Mr. Gagliardi was so thorough, I don't really think it would add much. So I just like to let you know from the applicant's standpoint, this rezoning, this PAD amendment is really driven by moving this commercial piece out to Pinal Avenue where the commercial is going to make sense. That's the development pattern we've seen occur over the years that frankly typically makes the most sense for more retail-oriented commercial. They do have a commercial developer in escrow to purchase that 1.61 acres right now. Of course, they have to get it rezoned so that commercial uses are permitted on it for that to go forward and then work through the access issue. And then definitely appreciate the concern about multifamily expansion, and we were very cognizant of that as well. And we started working with staff very early on this, and I think came to some reasonable approaches. In particular, it's not a new multifamily site. It's reconfiguring it. It's taking that area in the back behind the existing commercial that doesn't have visibility, that doesn't have that frontage, and converting it in to tie in with the multifamily that's already there. I think Mr. Gagliardi hit the nail on the head. A slightly larger site is more palatable. I know there's some desire for Tally Ho Lane to be built out, so the sooner we can get somebody in there to build that, the sooner Tally Ho can get built through there and increase the connectivity. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but we really do appreciate the work that staff has done in working through this project together.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, any other questions, comments?
Just
Sure.
a comment. I'm happy with the commercial on the frontage there on Pinal. I'm just not happy with the expansion of multifamily, but that's kind of where I sit on it. I agree with Matt. Even 4 acres, it makes it more palatable to build something there. I agree, but I would like to see it remain commercial on that section that was already there. But that's just my only comment.
If I may, Councilmember Dugan, appreciate that. And again, we've tried to be very cognizant of that the whole time. We think leaving it commercial would be, in effect, leaving it vacant because the commercial wouldn't be able to develop there. The other point about it is when you put some multifamily along what's the western edge of this property, there is neighborhoods in the general plan adjacent to it. So that creates more of a transition to the commercial area that's along the Pinal Avenue frontage there. Multifamily will generate less traffic than commercial, so that's less density or less of like a traffic impact on that neighborhood area. So that's part of the calculus that went into it.
I get it. It's an awkward situation to have commercial behind commercial, so it's hard access, hard visibility. I get that. But I just, from talking to our community members and everything, there's been a lot of opposition toward multifamily homes coming in, and more zoning for multifamily is not what our community is looking for. I'm not saying I'm voting against it. I'm just letting you know what our community has reached out to me on. So,
understood. Thank you very much. And again, we've tried to be as cognizant as we could and appreciate planning staff working with us on it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. No more questions. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? It is a public hearing. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And if we can get a ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.191.4. An ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving a major amendment to the Belago Village PAD adopted for property generally located south and west of the southwest corner of McCartney Road and Pinal Avenue, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Okay.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve ordinance number 1178.191.4 as presented.
Okay, motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. If we can get a roll call vote, please, Adriana.
Councilmember Remo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Reluctantly, yes, but please be cognizant of our community's attitude towards this. Not policy, but thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem P. Dillon?
I'm in agreement with Councilmember Herman. I do appreciate that you are in negotiations with the commercial on the frontage. So with that, I will say yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item L2.
So item L2 is a zone change request for approximately 273 acres of property. And it is to be known as the Florence and I-10 PAD, or Planned Area Development Zone Change Request. The property sits in between Florence Boulevard to the south and Cottonwood Lane to the north, between I-10 and the Palm Creek RV Resort. This item had gone in front of Planning Commission in March, but it was denied on a vote of 4-3 due to a number of concerns. The applicant did request for city council consideration, which is an option available in the city code. But having understood some of the reasons for the denial, there has been changes made to the PAD that essentially accomplishes two things. They addressed staff's technical modifications, asking for some clarity regarding the proposal. And then they also removed some of the proposed uses that had caused some of the concerns. So I'll walk you through those, but generally we are talking about approximately 273 acres of land. And the current zoning of that property is Urban Ranch, which is an agricultural zone district. With property next to I-10 and Florence Boulevard, it's really considered a holding zone. That's not really the intended zoning for this property. Although currently with the Urban Ranch zoning, it supports farming and agricultural operations and very low density residential at a density of 1 dwelling per 1.25 acres. The proposal in front of you this evening is for a planned area development zone district known as Florence and I-10 PAD. It would be a mixture of commercial and light industrial development. Now that's one of the biggest changes, because what had gone in front of Planning Commission was a multifamily component. So on that topic, they removed the proposed multifamily land use out of the PAD. This request may not seem entirely unfamiliar to you or to some of the members of council. Back in 2023, there was a proposal for this area known as the Casablanca PAD. It ultimately didn't make it to City Council for consideration. It was recommended by Planning Commission for council approval, but prior to council consideration of this, it was withdrawn by the then applicant. But it had involved a mixture of residential, commercial, and industrial development. What's being brought forward to council now is, instead of a mixture of those various uses, they're essentially proposing a cleaner PAD request, whereby they're showing Camino Mercado bifurcating the area. To the west of Camino Mercado would be known as Parcel 1, and then between Camino Mercado and I-10 is Parcel 2. But within these 273 acres would be the ability to develop both commercial and light industrial uses. I do want to point out that while the majority of the property is within the commerce and business category, highlighted in blue, the southerly portion is within the city's community corridor category, which serves more as the front door to the city. Within the community corridor category, it does not support light industrial uses, so that area of the PAD would only be able to develop commercially. And the community corridor general plan category has a lot to do with form. It promotes buildings that are closer to the street, and it de-emphasizes the view of parking areas to accentuate the prominence of the building. And commercial development within this area has a maximum floor area ratio of 0.5. Within the commerce and business category, it also supports commercial uses, so the commercial component of the PAD would be supported here as well, but it also supports light industrial uses, and there's an emphasis on a campus or business park type development with uses and connections to arterial roads. Given that this property has high visibility of I-10, this could be seen as an attractive business park type development and can lure potential employers to purchasing parcels within this site for their business operations. The planned area development zone does list permitted uses that would be considered appropriate for commercial or appropriate for light industrial. As that area gets parceled out, it would be determined whether it was commercial or light industrial based on its occupancy proposal. But any type of commercial area would allow retail, hotel, office, building material, sales yard, business school, etc., restaurants. The light industrial uses that would be supported per this PAD would include some uses such as a commercial bakery, light manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution. What the zoning does not include and is listed as not permitted are items such as data centers, battery storage, truck stops, fertilizer manufacturing, and liquefied petroleum gas storage. Those would be more what the city considers heavy industrial uses that would normally fall into the I-2 zoning classification, whereas the uses that are proposed within this PAD that are industrial are the I-1 garden and light industrial type uses, which is supported by the general plan. When looking at requests to a PAD zoning, just like with the last presentation, this is the criteria that requires evaluation. With regard to the relationship of the plan to surrounding land uses, as I mentioned, it's right next to I-10, so it does offer a palette of a variety of different uses that would be attractive to potential employment. However, the area that's the most sensitive that we would need to be concerned about is the existing Palm Creek Resort to the west, because currently between them and I-10 is a large field, and so it is important to consider what goes into that area as Palm Creek's neighbor. And being so close to the I-10 Florence interchange, there is of course interest in ensuring that the businesses and development that locate here is appropriate in quality for this location. So the planned area development guide imparts a series of development standards that helps to ensure compatibility between what gets developed within this PAD and the Palm Creek development. One of the development standards is a minimum of a 50-foot setback from Palm Creek for any use, whether it's commercial or industrial, which would include 2 rows of landscaping featuring trees at a spacing of 30 feet. There would be no outdoor storage or truck bays allowed within the first 100 feet of Palm Creek. And the maximum building height within the first 100 feet of Palm Creek is 45 feet. Now, beyond that 100-foot mark, buildings on parcels abutting Palm Creek can be taller than 45, but for every foot in height taller, there would be an additional 3-foot building setback from the Palm Creek boundary. So with regard to the maximum heights, anything that is considered a commercial development would have a maximum height of 55 feet. Industrial development would have a maximum height of 80 feet. When considering that and thinking about the 100-foot setback and the fact that the development provides a circulation plan where it shows Camino Mercado extending from Florence Boulevard to the south to Cottonwood to the north, although it doesn't specifically designate parcel 2 to have a specific use over parcel 1, it would be anticipated and practical for the more intense uses or the more the types of uses that would demand visibility from I-10 to locate next to I-10. And it wouldn't be as subject to those landscaping and setback standards as what would fall into place for parcel 1. So without specifying commercial in one area and industrial in the other, it would be anticipated that the more intense uses would benefit from sitting in between Camino Mercado and I-10. I touched on the general plan earlier, but it doesn't hurt to circle back to it because I do want to point out some nuances to that commerce and business general plan category, which is supportive of commercial and light industrial development. Another aspect of the general plan, though, aside from it being commerce and business designated, is that our general plan also identifies future trails. And there is the Casa Grande I-10 linear park trail designated to sit in between this site and I-10. This PAD accommodates for that by identifying that trail and future connections to get to that regional trail. And then with regard to goals and action steps to achieve those goals within the commerce and business category, a goal is to develop economically competitive regional centers of commercial activity, as well as promoting a wider range of uses other than traditional commercial areas, including blended commercial and industrial sites, to prepare for the changes in demand to the retail environment. With regard to the portion that's within community corridor, the goal of the general plan is to promote a diverse mixture of business and retail and office areas, which can be accomplished in this area, as well as encouraging mixed use of commercial and retail structures to create a higher intensity of uses along major corridors. I do want to point out that a lot of area immediately next to I-10 in Casa Grande is within that commerce and business category, highlighted in blue on the screen. It's similar to the development pattern that you see on I-10 as you enter Phoenix, such as the area between Chandler Boulevard and Ray Road. You have a development type of uses that combine a mixture of offices and warehousing and distribution, such as what you see on the photos on the top and bottom. There's a warehousing and distribution development right next to I-10, and then more of a lower profile office development that's single story further from I-10. And then that's just an example of what you see when traveling, what would be, I mean, technically it's considered eastbound I-10, but you're traveling south right there. With regard to conformance to the city's zoning ordinance, per Title 17, which is the city's zoning code, planned area development zones are allowed so long as certain standards are provided such as adherence to large multi or large single-use shopping centers, if that happens to apply. And then there's also minimum perimeter setbacks from PAD boundaries that have to be met. This PAD is proposing to meet those requirements, if not offer a greater setback, such as that 100-foot setback from Palm Creek. This PAD is specifically requesting large single and large multi-use shopping centers because its intent is to attract that type of development. It's considered a large single-use shopping center if the development has at least an anchor store of at least 100,000 square feet in size. And it would be considered a large multiple-use shopping center if the combined retail square footage of a site or abutting sites is at least 250,000 square feet. So there is definitely an intent to develop a portion of this site for commercial development. And there's a list of criteria that has to be provided as far as setbacks and landscaping, unless departures are granted by city council. And so that's the point of this slide, because although they don't have a specific site plan yet for either a single use or a multi-use shopping center, they know based on where that would be located, they are seeking 3 departures. The first one is in the code. It says that these type of shopping centers have to be located at the intersection of 2 arterial roadways. Well, the arterial roadways in question here are Cottonwood to the north and Florence Boulevard to the south. They're a mile apart or further, and they don't intersect. So they're asking for a deviation to that where this would not be located in an intersection of 2 arterials. It would likely be a collector with access to Florence Boulevard being an arterial. And then the other departure they're seeking is within the code. It asks for a 60-foot buffer along all property lines that abut residentially designated property. They're asking for a 50-foot buffer, as that would be appropriate given the area, and they are intending to landscape that. And then the third departure is that because they don't have a site plan yet submitted for that, the comprehensive sign plan, which is ordinarily required to be subject to Planning Commission and Council approval, would be provided at the time of site plan, and it would ultimately go to the Board of Adjustment for consideration. I do want to take a brief moment to talk about site plans because I mentioned that just with the topic of large single or multi-use shopping centers is there has been changes on the state level where site plans are not subject to a public hearing. However, the city code does have a community outreach process associated with the review of site plans. Even though they are administrative, the code does require measures be taken to get communities' input. And I just want to walk through those requirements briefly. So per 1766 of the city code, which is our citizen review process, items reviewed administratively, such as site plans or plats, reflecting a use at a height or setback distance approved by the property zoning, is still subject to public notification for property owners within at least 300 feet or a greater distance depending on the scope of the proposal. Now, while formal public hearings are not included with that process, a neighborhood meeting may be scheduled at the request of the planner. The purpose of the notification process and what that notification strives to stress in its verbiage is to gather input from the surrounding property owners in order to incorporate that feedback into the item undergoing the administrative review. The feedback is shared with the applicant, who is expected to, at a minimum, address how those comments were incorporated into their resubmittal or explain why otherwise the that was received was not reflected in the resubmittal. This feedback may very easily impact the associated review because the review criteria for site plans does include the following, where feedback can help shape the proposal. The first check mark is impact of the plan on existing and anticipated traffic. We would require a site-specific traffic analysis, and recommended upgrades to the street network would be incorporated in that way. But the second and third one have the most to do with community feedback, which is the relationship to the site plan to surrounding land uses. That's a very subjective criteria, admittedly, but if there's a strong argument made that the site building should be contemplated to be oriented slightly different, different elements such as landscaping can be incorporated to help bolster that relationship of the site plan to surrounding land uses. Those are definitely review criteria that can be incorporated. And then also adequacy of the site to accommodate the intended use and all required site improvements. Again, kind of subjective, but the idea is to involve the community to a great degree, to share that with the applicant so that their resubmittal can become something that's more appropriate given the context of the area. Issues such as lighting, architecture, landscape materials, and as I mentioned, some modifications to the building orientation would be expected to be influenced by public input through that process. And then just a reminder, amendments to the zoning or conditional use permits remain public hearing items. So not everything is administrative. There would still be public hearings for certain actions, and the applicant is now required to send out notice to surrounding property owners ahead of making those applications to gather feedback, with the idea that their initial submittal will be responsive to some of that initial feedback received. With regard to the impact of the plan on existing and anticipated traffic, although I mentioned at site plan review there would be individual traffic analysis provided, at this zoning level, a master level traffic report was provided by Lokahi Engineering. The master level traffic analysis looks high level at the build out of these 273 acres and assumes a combination of industrial and commercial uses. It makes a list of recommendations. It identifies that Florence Boulevard and Cottonwood Lane are both designated as arterial roads, and they are to be constructed to a fuller profile. Florence Boulevard constructed to its full profile as a principal arterial, while Cottonwood would have an interim full profile design, since development has yet to occur on the north side of Cottonwood. Camino Mercado is designated as a collector, and it would go through the development. And then Caceres Court, which is another collector road further to the west, would also tie into the development. This graphic kind of shows that roadway, basically. Caceres Court to the west would likely curve and tie into Camino Mercado. And then there's also the need to provide access and connections to some access challenge properties that currently cannot get its access from Florence due to its proximity to the interchange and where the grade separation exists. And so this PAD also provides those connections as well. Regarding the notification process, we met, which was required by code. We have received a number of comments, primarily from residents of the Palm Creek neighborhood, but then also some comments received by the community at large. There has been concerns expressed about traffic and visual impacts of that development that's proposed, potential noise, and then a preference to see the area developed more as a neighborhood contextual development that's more in line with the type of density that is enjoyed at Palm Creek. But then there's some community at large comments that are in support of the change, and then some that also bring up matters of traffic. And you know, traffic is a hot issue, and the idea is that while the zoning does set forth a traffic analysis that identifies what has to be done, the idea is there really can be no permits issued or site plans approved without a course forward to show how the adequacy of the roadway will be maintained without taking it to an unacceptable level of service. As I mentioned at its March meeting, Planning Commission did deny the then zone change request. However, the applicant did specifically request that their revised PAD be heard by council. And the items that were recommended by staff at the time as technical modifications have since been addressed. So with that, staff does recommend that City Council approve this zone change, subject to the standard condition of record regarding right-of-way dedication. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, James. Okay, any questions, comments from the council? I know it's a public hearing. I'll open that in a minute in case anyone wants to make a comment first. Oh. Wendy, the applicant? Sure.
Steve, do you want to open the?
Yes, thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council. Wendy Riddell with the law firm Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback. James makes for a very tough act to follow. He's given you so much detail. I'm going to do my best to speak just kind of very quickly and highlight a few things. Is it coming up, I hope? There we go. So it's my pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of Anita Verma, Arizona Land Consulting. She has won numerous awards. She manages a real estate portfolio of $1.5 billion, and I will tell you, Casa Grande is extremely near and dear to her heart. She actually is one of the largest landowners in Casa Grande. She has invested over $150 million in your lovely community, spanning over 5,000 acres, and we look forward, frankly, to coming back and working with this council and with your planning department on all of these projects. The site we're talking about here today, of course, is the 273 acres at I-10 in Florence. You see the general plan designations. The good news here this evening is everything we're proposing is in conformance with those general plan designations. Pardon me. We also do recognize that this site has long-awaited investment, and we're very grateful that it's finally here. It's important that it's thoughtful. It's important that it's high quality. It's really a gateway to your community, and that it's a catalyst for future development here as well. Of course, our rezoning request, as James had mentioned. Some of the possible land uses that we expect to see here are office and medical office, retail, restaurants, grocer. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Business park, and light manufacturing. Some of the things that we have prohibited, first of all, we definitely did get the memo on the residential. So we have eliminated from this all residential, no multifamily, which is a big deviation from what we presented at the Planning Commission. We have also eliminated all data centers, and just for the sake of clarity, eliminated language that talked about data processing and host services. We have no intention of putting a data center on this site. There was also a concern mentioned that this was going to be a truck stop of some sort. I assure you that couldn't be further from the truth. But to be clear, there's no truck stop, truck wash, truck terminal, any other way you could describe such activity that would be permitted as part of this PAD. As I mentioned, but it is certainly worth repeating, everything that we're proposing here today is entirely consistent with your general plan. Specifically calls out the need for blended commercial and industrial sites along the freeway. It encourages that type of mixed use and promotes really a balance of those uses. So one of those uses that we're very excited about, that's actually under contract, is actually a Winco grocer. So Winco is coming here. They're purchasing over 20 acres in land here to put a retail center. And we're very excited, and we think your community is very excited to have a Winco here. One of the things we also did is when we looked at Winco, which is pretty typical when you see these types of users, they often have other users that they routinely attract. So we went around and looked at some of the other Winco centers and said, who else often sort of partners with them? Who else likes to follow them? And these are just a few of those users. We saw Target over and over. We saw In-N-Out Burger, Starbucks, Ulta Home Goods, Salad and Go. There are more, but those are the types of users that we expect to come to this center. We also wanted to give an idea, this is very similar to what James presented, as to what these types of industrial buildings would look like along the freeway. And we do think that that Chandler-Santan 202 freeway corridor makes for a great example. You see that Stryker building. I can tell you we honestly didn't even collaborate with James on which buildings, and he pulled up the exact same ones. We thought that was kind of entertaining. But this gives you a really good indication of the types of high-end architecture, the types of users, and the types of development we expect to see here. I wanted to touch also just for a minute on access and circulation, because it's a really important point. We've talked a lot about traffic. Here, Camino Mercado will provide a connection to Cottonwood Lane to the north. You know, that exact configuration isn't known, but we know that it will connect from Florence to Cottonwood. Additionally, Caceres Court will provide connections to Florence Boulevard to the south. Again, all of those specifics worked out during site planning. We also, as part of this application, and this is where a previous application on this site frankly fell a little bit short, is we were able to work with the adjacent landowners, and we are providing access on 2 parcels that are frankly otherwise without it. So it allows that, again, that catalyst for development, allows those parcels ultimately to come in and to develop as well. In addition, one of the things that we are doing, as I'm sure this council knows very well, you have a CIP for Florence Boulevard. You're going to make some pretty significant improvements to that. Part of that includes including a median in Florence Boulevard. When that occurs, those businesses that are along our southern property line actually become access restricted. They become right in, right out. And so when we looked at that and we looked at our land planning here, we realized we have an opportunity to improve that circulation by bringing access around the rear of the property, ultimately connecting it to Caceres Court, ultimately connecting it to Camino Mercado, and ultimately improving the connectivity for all of these businesses. So I would suggest creating a much better situation for the surrounding businesses, and we're grateful, frankly, to have support from them as a result. We've also heard a lot about buffers. So in addition, we are providing a 50-foot buffer along the existing residential and a 40-foot buffer along the non-residential. But I want to break that down just for a minute for you if I could. So this is also a pretty significant change that we made since the Planning Commission. But we've come back in and we've created a buffer to show how sensitive this development can be to that Palm Creek area and to those residents. So that buffer area number 1, if you follow me from Palm Creek and you head east, that buffer area number 1 is 0 to 50 feet. There's no structures, there's no outdoor storage, there is landscaping. And then when you go 51 to 100 feet, you can do a maximum of 45 feet in height. There's no outdoor storage or truck bays unless they're screened. There's no, by the way, there's no west-facing dock doors allowed in any of these buffers. So none of that is permitted. And then the remainder of the site at 45 feet, you can go with an additional 3 feet for every 1 foot of additional height. You get up to 55 for commercial. So you have to be set back 130 feet to be set 55. And then you can go set back 205 feet to be 80 feet in height. So I have a hard time picturing what that is like. So we had a little graphic here to help make that a little bit easier. 200 feet in height, by the way, is 2/3 the size of the Statue of Liberty. It includes the base all the way up, so it kind of gives you a little perspective. Or it's 10 giraffes, because they're 20 feet tall each if you stack them one on top of the other. So we had AI help us out with a little image of what that looks like. Or it's a 20-story building. But it gives you an idea. It's a pretty significant setback. So we've taken this assignment very seriously and how we create that setback, how that transition works before you get to that height. Also within that setback, we have quite a bit of landscaping, as staff mentioned. You've got two rows, either two rows of trees or a staggering of rows of trees and hedges. That two rows of landscaping to ensure the screening. We have proposed landscaping that typically reaches 25 to 35 feet in height, with a canopy of 20 to 30 feet in width. Again, ensuring that you have quite a green screen that will be there. This, of course, shows them at maturity. Recognize trees do take a little while to grow, but that's the type of tree that's planted. We know sensitivity also to lighting. We want to mention as part of this, all lighting should be shielded or partially shielded, will deflect light away from residential or public streets, directed downward to eliminate any uplight pollution. Again, lighting has to remain on site, and there's been tremendous advancements in lighting technology and how that works today. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about next steps after the rezoning. Again, James touched on this in quite a bit of detail, but we are keenly aware that when we have users, and it is important to us to have flexibility to draw those really great users that we want to draw to this site, but when we have them, we have to come back. We have to work with your very capable professional planning staff. We have to ultimately do a neighborhood notification. We've got to update our traffic study, and we have to come in and with all of these details and present them. And of course, that site plan review process does have that public notification component for everyone within 300 feet or a greater distance, depending upon the scope. And we imagine that they will require us to even have a neighborhood meeting here and take that input very seriously. As I mentioned, we did quite a bit of outreach as part of this application. We've had engagement with Mr. Finney, with the Walton, with residents in Palm Creek, and as well as the adjacent businesses to the south who are very supportive as well. And with that, Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Okay, now I'll open it for questions. Any questions?
Right now.
Not- You want to wait till after the public hearing? Okay.
One thing I noticed.
Sure.
In your 2 slides ago, I think maybe, I don't think you mentioned it, but it was something that had been brought up. Well, yes, about the Florence Boulevard widening in 2030, which is
Yes.
4 years.
Yep.
And the build out will not, I mean, it's going
We
to
will
take
not
longer
be
than
built out in 4
4
years.
years to
That is
develop
correct.
this site. So it's not like all the traffic's going to come in 4 years even.
Madam Mayor, Councilperson Herman, that's an excellent point. Yes, so Florence Boulevard widening is estimated to occur in 2030. We are going to be fortunate to have even a portion of the site, I imagine, under construction then, and some of the commercial developed then, but certainly not the entire site.
Okay, we'll let you know if we have more questions.
Thank
We're
you.
going to go ahead and open it, the public hearing. I do have a few speaker cards. I'll go ahead and start with the speakers, and then we can continue to open that. So first I have Ken. I know you came up a little while ago, Ken.
My second try.
Thank you.
Nice to see the members of council. I'm a resident of Palm Creek.
Can you give us your address, Ken?
That's 1110 North Hennis Road.
Okay.
I have several family members that live in Palm Creek also, along with friends and other families. Our concern is Cottonwood traffic. It's a hard one to keep track of. I don't see any police officers giving people for speeding or excessive noise. I mean, they speed through like it's a racetrack, and I know it's going to impact Cottonwood as well as Florence. And there's already, when there's during season, everything triples. So that's going to add to the traffic, the noise, the lights, 80-foot tall buildings. I think should be another alternative property that you could put all this stuff on, like Jimmy Kerr Road or out there by Lucid, or where there's already commercial structures. I don't know why they picked this one here, but I think it should be kept or change the zoning to residential. not apartments, but residential, or maybe senior care duplexes. That's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Debbie Farrell. Hi, Debbie.
Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Debbie Farrell, 1110 Hennis Road, Palm Creek Resort. First is, how many malls, warehouses, commercial, light industry does Casa Grande really need? We have a lot of it here already. Why is it necessary to be put in this section of the city when we have the whole area in the west that's industrial and commercial? Why can't they kind of look in that direction? She mentioned about some exits or entrances, so I was curious as to the proposed, would they just be on Florence? How many would there be, entrance and exits? And there would be more traffic lights, obviously. What type of, well, let's put it this way. Have they fielded specific companies that would come into whatever got approved? Light industry, she mentioned hotels, other information, restaurants, 45-foot buildings, and so forth. But have they actually talked to these companies? Because a few years ago, Phoenix Mart was being built, and, well, that went bankrupt during construction, and it's an eyesore. And that concerns me. Impacts. Lighting within this project she just mentioned would go up in effect, could possibly go over our walls, even though there's landscaping. People live there year-round. So if you have lighting on till 11 or 12 at night and it penetrates into the walls, that's going to affect the residents in Palm Creek. Infrastructure strain. Rapid growth may overwhelm transportation, utilities, public services. Serious traffic concerns and congestion already exist within our city. With everything that's going on right now, you don't even want to be on Florence Boulevard. And all the side roads are crazy with traffic because everyone's avoiding because there's so much going on at the same time. Economic dependence. Over-reliance on industry can make the economy vulnerable to downturns. Quality of life. Increased industry can lead to noise, congestion, reduced living standards for the residents of the city. At the last meeting, one of the councilmen said the proposed project did not have enough details. It was open-ended as to traffic, road expansion, approved or funded for roads or, intersections, lighting, and so forth. How has that changed? Lastly, we love the city. We moved here because of the unique charm of this city. I think I'd like to ask you to deny this application, and if it is approved, we can only hope that it does not become another Phoenix Mart and they ruin the unique character of Casa Grande. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Deborah Burdette. Hi, Deborah.
Deborah Burdette, 1937 North Camino Real Drive, far away from Palm Creek. Mayor and council members, I thank you and fellow citizens for this opportunity to speak. I've lived in Casa Grande for over 46 years, and I've seen lots of growth and changes. Like Debbie, I love Casa Grande, and I want the best for our residents, as I'm sure you all do too. I'm here tonight to ask you to vote no on this pad change. A big ask from urban ranch to light industrial. I know they've added commercial, and that sweetens the deal some, but not enough for me. This is the gateway to our city. It's the first impression that millions of people have of Casa Grande, and I think we can do better. It's been 29 years since I've appeared before the city council. I was a regular attender in the 90s, and during that time, some of the plans that our city council members were pursuing would have impacted our city in negative ways. I'm going to cite two. Our city council wanted to turn the abandoned Asarco mine pit into the biggest dump in the Western world. They mused that with our position between two freeways and our rail access, we could get trash from all over the country. Myself and many other citizens pleaded with them to look to the future, that our transportation advantages would prove invaluable in the future to attract great companies and jobs for our residents. I remember telling them that we were yet a jewel in the rough, and thank God that the citizen outrage changed their minds. Casa Grande is now home to great companies, and recently the price of copper has raised enough that the mine is being mined again. And another is after Eloy got their for-profit prisons, that same city council wanted to flank our city with for-profit prisons on each end of the city. Again, residents complained enough that they changed their minds. I'd also like you to remember that the city of Florence had the opportunity to have the University of Arizona or the state prison. They chose the state prison. Look at the difference between Florence and Tucson, please. And the leaders really thought they were doing the right thing every time they did it, so no fault to that. But I'm asking you to look to the future. I've only addressed aesthetics, but I also thought of traffic and noise for you all to consider. I think we can do much better. This is an essential gateway to our beautiful city. Please learn from the past, look to the future, and vote no on Ordinance 1178.475. Might not happen during your tenure, but better things are coming to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Bobby Siebold. Hi there, Bobby.
Madam Mayor, Bobby Siebold. I live at 1110 North Hennis, number 142 in Palm Creek. And I'm here today to talk about the pad. I want to thank all of the council members and the mayor for working on this project as they have since the last time we talked about it. And I want to thank you all for reading my handouts and thank the staff for all their support. But I remain opposed to this development. When we voted for the general plan, we voted for business and commerce. And I don't think anybody who voted for business and commerce was voting for light industrial. So when we came in here tonight, we were talking about putting in truck distribution center and warehousing opportunities. Now they're also talking about putting in a shopping center. There's maybe some improvement in that area, but we definitely have not ruled out the use of light industrial, warehousing, and truck industrial centers at this location. And all of that traffic is going to go down to the intersection of Florence and I-10 where it is already crowded. And you all know that traffic is the one thing that you hear the most about. The MetroNet traffic is going to stop eventually. But this traffic is never going to stop because it's a forever change that you are making. You're putting light industrial in there. There's going to be an opportunity for them to up the ante on light industrial forever, as long as it remains there. It's going to always be light industrial. Palm Creek has been an industrial engine for you all since 1995 when it was built. And when people retire, they choose where they're going to live. They don't have any connections, any links that make them come here. And in Palm Creek, we come because it's a resort community. We pay resort rates. No one is going to come to Palm Creek and pay resort rates if they're sitting next to a truck distribution center. It's just not going to happen. In most cases, those people with $500,000 rigs are just going to unplug and go someplace else. Now, the one thing that I am really concerned about is the lack of detail on this plan, because this is the plan. This is the one plan I pulled out. You've been looking at these plans. It's two rectangles with some trees around the edge. We still don't know where they're going to put warehouses, where they're going to put an Ulta, where they're going to put another Target, where they're going to put all these other things that are going to follow Winco. If they want to put a Winco in, I'm sure there would be a lot of support for a Winco. They can go ahead and put the Winco in without a pad. They don't need a whole pad to put a Winco in, because you can do that probably in less than 6 months to get the change on the zoning for that. So I want to thank you all for your support and your interest in this project, but we and the members of Palm Creek remain opposed.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? Sure, come on up. If you can give us your name and address, please.
Mary Elizabeth Bridges Mora. I live at 1124 East Racine Drive, Cottonwood Ranch. And I'm also opposed to this. And one thing that nobody's brought up so far is the schools that are on Cottonwood Ranch, or on Cottonwood rather. Kids are all over the place. The last thing we need going down Cottonwood is 18-wheelers. Coming out of Pueblo Drive, where I live now, trying to get onto Cottonwood, is difficult enough. The bushes that are there, you can't even see the cars coming up and down. It takes me 7 minutes sometimes to get out onto Cottonwood to go to church on Sunday morning. What's it going to be like if we got 18-wheelers running up down there? It's not going to be good for the kids that are coming out of the preparatory school or the high school having these trucks. You know, kids don't think of where they're going. They're just all over the place. How many accidents would we have? And as for malls, like she said, we got the one out there that's, it's nothing. We had the one out off the freeway when I first came here. It's just sitting there idle. We got half the stores in the mall that we have now are idle. They started a new development by the Michaels. There's pads there that nobody's using those yet. Why do we need another mall? Yes, Winco would be nice. We'd all love to have a Winco, but we don't need commercial vehicles right smack in the middle of town. We're not Chandler, we're Casa Grande. I came here 20 years ago because it was a nice small community. It's already gotten larger than I wanted it to be. But the last thing I want to see here is a big commercial place where you got 18-wheelers coming and going all the time, and not to mention the noise that it's going to create and the pollution and everything else. We don't need it in Casa Grande, so I really oppose it also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure.
Good evening, Craig McFarland, 152 West Auburn Sky Court, Casa Grande, Arizona. As a resident of this community for over 21 years myself, this is an opportunity to put some development in an area that is right next to I-10. It's in the proper corridor. The general plan allows for this use. It was voted on by the people in our 2030 general plan. And, you know, with the grocery store application, the applicants changed a lot of the pieces to this plan from the original. There's no multifamily in it anymore. And as far as lighting, if you want to see what good LED lighting does, you can go down to Peart Park and the light stops at the sidewalk. It does not go into the people's yards. That's the kind of lighting that's used these days. It's LED and it doesn't flood into people's backyards. The landowner has rights. We need to make sure that we appreciate that their right to build and develop something there, especially when it's in the proper place. And as far as the zoning, Urban Ranch, to Mr. Gagliardi's point, is just a holding zoning call. So I ask for your approval on this proposal. I think it's a good use of that land. It's right along the I-10 corridor, and quite frankly, I wouldn't want to live in an apartment that was on I-10 myself. And I think that this is a good use, so thank you.
Thank you.
Kirk McCarville, 9405 North Paseo Palo Verde, Casa Grande, Arizona. I've been self-employed in this community for 45 years. I've been in the real estate business that whole time. It's been feast or famine, and we're having a pretty good run right now. I also sat up there for about 8 years, and I remind the council that About 60% of our budget comes from sales tax. As they remove the residential component from this development and change it to commercial industrial, the revenue for the taxpayers in the city of Casa Grande is multiplied. I don't know the number, but I would say 10 to 20-fold. So the fact that this is now strictly commercial industrial is going to be a huge relief to the taxpayers. It'll help us build these roads that we're behind on. It'll help us get caught up with infrastructure, and it'll help this community grow. And wisely, it's a really good developer, a really good planner. They have a really good team here, and we should embrace them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure.
John Farrell, 1110 North Tennis, Palm Creek. We moved here a few years ago, and we just fell in love with what was around us. So we bought in, and we just bought a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath there. And we've been through this before, where they overdeveloped so quick that we were forced to leave our homes. When we first moved to one of our bedroom communities, there was 3 traffic lights for me to get home from work. When I left, it was 15. So my commute went from like maybe a half hour to hour and a half. It was really tough. And I just wanted to point out a couple other things. I know when they showed the videos, they had pictures. They showed that land when it was dirt, not when the stuff was growing. It really is nice. It's beautiful when you look out there and it's all green. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just a little nervous, but I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No one else. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it back up here to the council if there's comments, questions. No questions, no comments?
I got.
Sure, go ahead, Matt.
Usually. I had the chance to look at this a lot, and I want you guys all to know that all of us up here have looked at this more than just tonight and over the last few weeks. And I don't like having to do this against planning and zoning. However, due to the public's response, looking at Ms. Siebold especially, that had a very good organized thing, a lot of stuff has changed in this PAD. When I walked in to a meeting with them, the first thing they said is no multifamily and no data centers. I'm like, well, that helps a lot. You know, the traffic is the other thing that keeps coming up. And as James pointed out, every time they do this, they're going to have to do a traffic impact analysis for each use so that it will be figured into the use of the property. And one thing I hear besides multifamily, car washes, other things in this town is truck traffic through town. And I think this is an opportunity to keep trucks from not coming through town if they do need to go into this development. It's going to go right from I-10 into Caceres Court or the one before that. And the gateway to the city. Now, on the other side of the freeway, we have the mall, and you see the back of it. Looks pretty good, just like most freeways do, because you drive by about 80 miles an hour most of the time. But the important part of the gateway is going to be on Florence Boulevard and Cottonwood Lane, because that's where people are going to drive into our community. And I am working with this development team. They're committed to that, and especially on the south end, they have to be, because that's community corridor and it's required there. So in addition to traffic, MetroNet, any multifamily, we need more grocery stores in this town. And when they put that up there, when I watched the planning and zoning, I was like, this is very disingenuous of them just to throw a Winco up there. However, they actually have it in escrow. They actually have talked to the company, and they are planning to build it. It's not just a pipe dream. It is a real thing, they assured us. Going forward with this as it comes, the state took away our ability to review site plans with public hearings, and I'm not a fan of that. I will say that flat out. However, we have a procedure that we voted on to where we will have public outreach to visit with them, and they have committed to do it. It's in the plan that they will commit to do that. And also in the last page of the plan, the appendix, which we talked about with someone earlier, is just because it's an appendix, that's in there. You can't have truck stops there. You can't have data centers. You can't have multifamily. It's in that plan. So when they do that, we're going to have some public outreach. But I want to ask these guys over here, because we ran into this last time, is we have to notify the property owners within 300 feet. Well, a lot of the residents out here don't technically own the property in Palm Creek, why they are residents. Can we do something to make sure they get informed somehow? I mean, I know we're not required, but is there some tool we can use?
Sure, we can, and we've had discussions of this before to notify residents just by pulling their addresses if that is available for particularly a development like Palm Creek. You know, we can't always control the time of year that we're doing this, which has always been another concern. But we'll do our best to reach as many residents as we can for their input.
And I know that Wendy said that they tried to go into Palm Creek and weren't able to talk to the residents, but have met with them. So I appreciate that. But that public outreach is going to be such a big part of this going forward, so people know that they are listened to, because we do care. It's hard to sit up here and make these decisions, but this land use category in our general plan that was voted on is for this use. It's not for farming anymore. It's not for multifamily. It's not for it's for this commerce and business. And doing that buffer, I talked to a planner from Tucson who actually sits on planning and zoning. If you do a 50-foot buffer in Tucson or Pima County, you're not required to do any landscaping because that buffer is so big. And here we're requiring the double row of landscaping and the lighting, shielding, everything. So they're working with us, and also the 45-foot at the 100, and no dock bays. And we made sure that they included all this in there. I talked to them this morning to make sure. So I'm just thinking, I know it's tough. And the Cottonwood Lane, we've been trying to expand that overpass for years, and there's new plans to keep trying to do it. It's a big lift, but we've got some more ideas to help with that. But just this is the area by I-10, and you don't want to live by I-10 in a house. But it's important to be very sensitive to the residents there on Palm Creek, which I think is going to happen. I know is going to happen, and the traffic impact analysis. Because again, Florence Boulevard right now is not great, but by the time this gets built, Florence Boulevard will be built out with the proper turns and the lights. So it's not all going to happen at one time. Anyway, I thank everyone for their input tonight. I thank staff, the applicants, everybody for working so hard on this project. Because of public input, it was made a much better project than first proposed, in my opinion. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Anything else, Bob? Sure.
Everything Matt said, ditto.
That's why I went first.
I think that was well presented for us. Bottom line is, I think the process is working. It's not done yet, and some of us are imagining that it's going to be terrible. I don't think with the improvements to Florence Boulevard and the routing of the streets that the applicant has put in there, and the mitigation that the applicant has applied to this to try to make it a little more palatable to the residents. I think it's going to work out fine. We still have site plans that'll be submitted, and we can still work with the applicant and the developers during that. So I'm confident it will work out, and thank you, Matt, for putting in all those details.
Thank you.
Great articulation, Matt.
Sure, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I'll end up echoing some of Councilmember Herman's comments, but a couple of other things I was going to point out is I think the applicant has done a pretty good job of making some concessions and working with us from the time planning and zoning happened to now. There have been quite a few changes. I read through the traffic analysis. I had some concerns with it from what I saw on planning and zoning. I had some concerns. I was hoping to ask a bunch of questions tonight, but I don't get to because they corrected all those. The latest traffic analysis I have no issues with. They've addressed a lot of the concerns I had. And I guess I'm going to ask staff. I know there is this, what are we calling it now, the citizen review process. I know the applicant's going to be more than willing to work with us on it. Just ask that we make sure that we not only are getting notifications out, but that once we get those meetings going, let's promote that some. Let's be very transparent about the process we're going through so that everybody can see what kind of progress we're making on that. Because I think it's going to be a big impact, not just on this particular development, but on future developments when the same thing comes along, that people understand that, yes, the state's taking away something from us that we needed, but here's how we resolved it, and we're going to continue to resolve it in this way. So I just ask that you guys really hammer on that when you get a chance to. And that's really all I had.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Good.
Okay. No, and I wanted to echo what some of my fellow council members talked about. You know, I really believe, and I hope you have all seen with this council, that we really, truly value community input. And sometimes it's difficult because you can't satisfy everyone. Even though you're getting input, you're not satisfying, you know, the needs or, you know, desires or wants for everyone in this community. But we really try to listen. And so I know I actually watched that Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and listened to the presentations, listened to the feedback. And, you know, I think staff did a great job presenting. However, I thought there was some things that maybe we could have just focused on or gone into a little bit more detail, and that was the public input, and especially when it comes to the site plan review, you know, some of the things that we already have in place. But I understand the Planning and Zoning Commission's concerns, and I think, you know, with their vote, it made us really take a look at this project and see how we can, you know, make it better. And so I appreciate them and their input and, you know, the questions that they presented at the time, because I do feel that many of us, and me, myself included, had those same concerns. And since then, I have been in touch with the applicant, I've been in touch with staff to find out, you know, how we can, you know, work together to bring something that is, you know, it's really what's planned. I mean, we, you know, I was part of those general plan meetings, you know, we, you know, brought it to the community, we had community input, we had meetings, and then it ultimately was voted by the residents of Casa Grande. And this use is what's there. I mean, and these, you know, this property owner is bringing something that is in our general plan that we, you know, looking at the future of our city, this is really what we wanted to bring. And so I appreciate the concessions, or, you know, that taking out multifamily, because we all knew that was not a good idea. And data centers has been a hot topic, and there was a lot of questions and concerns with data centers coming in. So the applicant for sure said, that's fine. We'll eliminate that. So I do believe that this applicant has been really working with us to try to bring a project that really works for the community. And so I think that by approving a thoughtful, well-planned commercial and industrial project, it brings job creation, it strengthens our tax base, like one of our speakers said, and provides services and amenities that benefit the whole Casa Grande. And I think we have to remember that. We're talking about, the large community and how this impacts this. Now, as far as the Palm Creek, I appreciate your feedback. I value what you do and what you bring to our community. I know this community is very active. They're engaged. I appreciate the gentleman that said you moved here and you love this community. I know I love this community too, and I wish I can say it's not going to grow. I mean, no, I don't wish I can say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. Jody, take that out. No, I don't. It's exciting for me growing up here, raising a family here, having a business here, and when I see what this community, can bring, and we still do have that charm. We still have that unique character, for this community. And so, but this area that we're talking about, it really, this is the use that can assist as we continue to grow. So we will remain focused on making sure that we're adhering to the standards. We have, standards that, all of us here, we take serious. And so community input we take serious. And so we want to make sure that we're continuing to address compatibility, making sure that the right projects that are coming in. We are, I'm not happy that the legislature took away, the public hearings. No one is. No one on this council, none of our staff are happy about that. But it is what it is, and so now we have to work with that. And so right when that happened, we talked about it and said, this is something that is still a priority for us to make sure that we're keeping the community engagement, public input, neighborhood meetings, and so we will continue to do that. So again, that's just kind of where I am on this too, but I just wanted to thank everyone for their input and the applicant for making these changes, and staff, just being open, and James, great job on the presentation. So is there any other questions or comments?
I think you guys covered it all. Great
Okay.
job.
And then Adriana, I forgot that there was a couple emails you gave me. Do we need to put those in the record for the public hearing, people that sent emails?
If I can turn this on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Adriana gave them to you. She is going to include them in the public record.
Okay.
As part of the record for this.
Is it okay for me to just read these couple that I have in my hand?
If you want to read all three of them, you can, although you did close the public comment
I know
section.
I did. I know. Well, just so.
You can put maybe the best thing to do is to add the names and the fact that they were opposed.
Okay, I'll do that, just so people that are here today, that we did receive someone that was strongly opposed from Marie Jean Guerin, and also another one, I just have Adela that emailed us, and then of course Bobby Sunbolt sent us something too. So if you can make sure that those are in the record. So moving forward, let's see if we can get an ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.475. An ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from urban ranch, UR, to planned area development, PAD, on property generally located between Florence Boulevard and Cottonwood Lane and between Palm Creek RV Resort and Interstate 10, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve ordinance number 1178.475 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Adriana, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Remo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem B. Dillon?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next is let's see, we're going to do our reports. So
Reports, yeah.
we'll start with that, and then we'll go into an executive session from there. Should I wait a minute here? I guess not. So we'll go ahead and start with reports. Anthony, you look like you want to start.
No reports. No, I'm good. No. Been a busy week.
Yes, I
A
know.
lot of funerals.
Oh, okay. Okay, how about you, Becca?
I do have just a couple things.
Okay.
We had our Community and Career Day last week at Cactus Middle School, and we had 24 local businesses as well as a good representation from different departments from the city. And it was just really great for all of our students to get to see what types of businesses that we have here and available to them as they go through the school and graduate and stay in our community, because that's what we want. A couple weeks ago, I also had Council Member Edwards over at Cactus. He had lunch with some students and talked with them about his different experiences, and it was just, they really appreciated it. They were really excited for it. And I just think that we build a better community when we partner with our schools. And so I think that makes a big difference. And I'd love to see more community members partnering with their schools and building that relationship, because it really does matter.
Thank you. Okay, Matt.
Couple things. This Saturday on the 11th at the Garden of Sunshine is a memorial. Starts at 7 o'clock to recognize all the kids that were lost too early in the community, and the Youth Commission is putting that on. So that'll be at 7 p.m. on the Saturday the 11th. And then the Rotary auction is the next Saturday on the 18th at the Property Conference Center. So Diamonds in the Desert. If you need tickets, let me or Larry know, or Chief, he left, but me or Larry, or Becca, sorry. Let us know. And then the 26th is the Youth Commission's Spring Day of Shredding.
No, that's fine.
Is the Spring Day of Shredding at First American Credit Union on Pinal Avenue from 9 until noon or until the truck is full. And last time it did get full, so get there early and get that. So that's the Youth Commission on the 26th because we had to move it later because of prom. So apparently you got to get ready for prom all day, not just in the evening.
9 to 11?
9 to noon.
9 to noon.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
That's
thank you.
it.
Anthony did have
I
something.
did forget something.
Oh.
Tomorrow, 4:30, Seats of Hope is having the Arizona Gives Day. And so it's tomorrow at 4:30 there at the Presbyterian Church in the big auditorium in the back.
right.
So I forgot about that. And then the Faith Alliance Luncheon is also on this coming Thursday. And Steve Miller will be our guest speaker. And that's going to be at the LDS Church off Colorado.
Okay, good.
No reports?
No report.
Sean?
I got bad news.
What?
April 15th is tax day, so if you haven't turned in your taxes, it's like.
Already?
Next week.
Oh, yes, I know, right. That was your
That's
report?
it, that's it, that's all my report, I'm done.
Just to remind us?
Just to
Yeah.
remind us, yeah, just look at my calendar, I was like, ugh.
Budget retreat on.
Oh, yeah.
But we got budget retreat too on the 15th.
Next
yeah.
week.
Open to the public.
Well, actually, Sean, I know I went to an event with you, the San Juan
Oh, yes.
dedication.
Yes, the
Do you
San
wanna talk
Juan.
about that a little
Sure.
bit? That was great.
San Juan Pools donated a pool to a worthy veteran, and they had a bunch of vendors that came together, Plantier, a couple other pump companies and landscape companies, and they all worked together to donate a fiberglass swimming pool to a veteran here in Casa Grande. And it was really a cool event. They had their families, they had a jumping castle, they had everything out, and they made it a 3-day event just for this veteran that lived here. I can't remember his last name, but it was
Yeah.
Derek.
Rodriguez? No, yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember the last
Okay.
name, so
Yeah.
but yes, it was a really good event. I mean, it was amazing to see everybody come together, and everything was donated. San Juan initiated it, but there was a bunch of people that jumped on board to donate that swimming pool to that veteran. So it was an incredible deal.
Good story.
And their manufacturing plant is in Eloy.
Yes, they're manufacturing right here in Eloy. You see their storefront there on Pinal Avenue, San Juan, but they got their manufacturing facility there in Eloy.
Right, okay. Okay, yeah, no, it's been a busy month. April is kind of crazy, or March, I guess, and April. So I was fortunate to do a ride-along with the Meals on Wheels, and I just wanted to thank, Danny, your staff over there at the Dorothy Powell Senior Center and everything that they do. It was just a great experience going out with them and the relationships and everything that they have with our homebound seniors. And I've been kind of hanging out at the senior center, maybe a little too much, because I'm getting, my list of things to do is getting bigger and bigger. But great program. Everything that they do, it was a lot of fun. So speaking of the Faith Alliance, Deputy Chief Leo spoke at their last lunch and did a great job updating everyone on the homeless ordinance. And then we talked a little bit about the program that some of the nonprofits are working with in city, and as far as a temporary shelter program. So that committee is continuing to meet on a regular basis. There's been a lot of events going on. The Taco Fest was great, with the chamber and the MPO put that together. It was, so thank you to everyone with all the sponsors. CAC, if you guys probably saw in the paper, they had their groundbreaking for their Performing Arts Center. So it's going to be a beautiful center. They had the renderings, and it's going to have a big banquet room and beautiful facilities. So you can always go online and check that out. That was this week. Dancing for Our Stars, one of our own employees, Tisa Ellsworth, participated in that and did a fantastic job.
2 trophies.
She won 2 trophies. One was the community engagement, and I can't remember what the other winner. She was a winner of 2 trophies and did a great job. So just proud of her. So everyone in this room, we'll see who's next year, who's going to do it. As far as date. We'll see, Sean. It looks like Sean may be. Public Safety Day was this past weekend, and it was a great event by our public safety crew, and all of our staff members were there. They had booths. It was a beautiful evening on Saturday. A little light attendance. I think all those U of A fans stayed home, but some of us were still there. Maybe because my team wasn't in there, but it was a great event. So happy to be at that. Some upcoming events. We have, let's see, a new restaurant and bar, Pour Therapy. If anyone hasn't gone there downtown, it's a nice restaurant. It's a cocktail bar and beautiful. They're having their ribbon cutting on the 23rd at 3 o'clock. So if anyone would like to go, please come and support them. I know it's called Celebrating Pinal County Scholars, which was the Cesar Chavez Committee. They're in their 20th year this year, and they're going to be honoring 50 students this Friday at the property. So thank you to all of the sponsors and everyone that's helped them over these last 20 years. Rotary Dinner you talked about. We have another great city event coming up. Dia de los Niños is a great family event, and that is at Paul Mason, and please come out. It is a great event for families
What's
and
the date on
kids.
that?
Dia de los Niños.
Yeah, what date is that?
It's on the 25th.
25th.
And then, Dan, did you know the time? 11 to 2. Yeah, please come out. It's a great event.
That's the day of shredding, too. I think I said,
Yes.
Oh,
I think I said 26, but it's the 25th.
Okay, the 25th.
25th.
Saturday.
And the city, we are hosting a public safety open house that's open to the community. As you all know, we had a couple of these last year, and there's been, a lot of questions on public safety, and so we want to make sure that we, are opening this meeting, this open house, and it's going to be at Fire Station 503 on Pinal Avenue. So please come out to that on the 27th, and that's at 5, I think, right? You guys, 5:30 p.m. at the Fire Station 503. The budget meeting, all-day budget meeting for all the city staff, and that is open to the public. So if anyone would like to attend, you're more than welcome to attend.
Tax day.
All day. And there's also, we are trying to conduct a recycling survey that's open to the community. So if you can please get online and fill that survey out for us, we would greatly appreciate it. And then, Anthony, you had one more thing you
The
wanted to add.
third annual International Drive-Through Prayer Conference, our mayor spoke there last year. That's returned again, and it's going to be this coming, the 13th through the 15th at Trinity Southern Baptist Church. And it's full day every day, the 13th, 14th, 15th, starting at 8 in the morning. So
Great.
And so, but we wanted to just make sure we mentioned it.
Okay, sounds good. And then one more thing. This Saturday is the Spring Paw-Tea. P-A-W, paw, like as in dogs. And on April 11th, from 9 to noon, and it's come meet the adoptable dogs and cats at the Cascran
New and improved.
Yes, Adoption Center. Yeah, new and improved. They have a beautiful mural there now. So there's going to be refreshments, music, and discounted adoptions. So please, Sean, go and get that dog. You almost got it the other day.
Almost.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and if we can get a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll go into executive session.